I am Lieutenant Nira Lee. I'm a lone soldier raised in Tempe, Arizona, where my father is in his 42nd year as the rabbi at Arizona State Hillel. I graduated from American University in Washington, D.C. During a service program in Israel in my sophomore year, I decided to make Aliyah and join the Army. In 2010, I enlisted in a unit called Coordinator of Government Activities in the Territories, the unit responsible for all civilian affairs in the West Bank and Gaza. After completing officers' school, I became the Deputy Foreign Liaison Officer to the international community in Gaza. Last year, on the night of your dinner, I was the base officer on duty when the 8 days of Pillar of Defense began. Those 8 days were some of the hardest I have ever known, physically and emotionally. I would have never thought it possible to work for 22 hours a day, fueled only by adrenaline, wearing the same filthy uniform because changing, much less showering, wouldn't allow you to get to a shelter in time when the next rocket barrage hit. And no, wearing the green uniform does not mean that we are not afraid when the sirens sound. Had you told me 5 years ago that there were IDF officers who stayed up all night under a hail of rockets, brainstorming ways to import food and medical supplies to the civilian population in Gaza, I'm not sure that I would have believed you. But I can tell you that it's true because I did it every night. Sometimes you ask yourself why. Why are we doing all of this for them when all they want is to kill us? Part of my job during Operation Pillar of Defense was to coordinate ambulances to evacuate injured Palestinians from the Gaza side of the security buffer zone, many of whom were injured while trying to harm Israeli civilians. On the final day of the operation, I was in the middle of coordinating an ambulance when a friend of mine ran in and broke the news. Nira, a bus just blew up in your neighborhood in Tel Aviv. My heart lodged itself inside my throat. In contrast to my Israeli friends, I had not experienced the Intifada terror and wondering whether my loved ones were among the casualties. I sat there, my own hand sliced up and bandaged from a rocket attack, wanting nothing more than to call my friends, while at the same time I coordinated medical care for terrorists. I thought for a split second about leaving the Palestinians there bleeding on the ground. But I remembered what I was truly doing there in that room, respecting international law and assisting the international community in preventing a humanitarian crisis, thereby allowing our forces to complete their mission to protect our civilians. And in that moment, I understood more than ever that this is exactly what separates us from our enemies who fire on our civilians while hiding behind their own. Every day, I worked with a young Gazan employee of an international aid organization. Just weeks before the operation, we forged a bond when Hamas targeted the Keren Shalom crossing, attacking the very aid provided to its own people. As we toured the crossing together, the loudspeaker yelled in Hebrew to run for cover. Having no time to explain or translate, I grabbed her hand and pulled her into the nearest shelter with me. That night, she called me crying. She said to me, "All of my life, I have been taught that the IDF wants to kill me. And yet today, you protected me. And now I believe that what I knew to be true is not the whole story." Last month, as I left my job in Gaza, she told me, "I talk about you all the time in Gaza, and I tell everyone how you and your soldiers are the opposite of what they believe. I want you to know that you've caused many people who have never met you, who hated you before, to think in a new way." My time in the IDF has given me more satisfaction than I can describe, and I know that no matter where I am, I will always advocate for Israel as somebody who has seen the truth with my own eyes. Thank you all so much for being here and supporting us in defending our small but great nation.